Hi guys, my name is Thelma, and yeah, I've experienced homelessness quite a while ago, and I just really wanted to follow on from Kemi's um, speech of what she was saying in terms of I think one of the things that is very common in homelessness is the hostile environment. Um, when I was placed in emergency accommodation with my mum, it was literally a box. And in that same box was the cooker. We had to cook, we had to shower. There was a shower there and go toilet and at the same time sleep in it. And it was quite very daunting, and it was quite belittling as well, having to like shower and go toilet in the same room that you're sleeping in. And honestly, there was no space at all. You just had to do everything on the bed, sleep, eat, name it. It was the bed that we had to do. And I feel like it's very unfair, especially for children, because these are children that are allowed to be free, allowed to move around, and allowed to just have a normal childhood. And I don't see why it's fair for them to be placed in such an environment that limits their development, and especially how they interact. Being homeless is very stressful, and it's very isolating. So being placed in such an environment doesn't help. Like, I saw someone like my mother, who's very strong, become so weak just because of the space that she's in. And I, frankly speaking, I don't feel like it's fair on anyone. It's because we are human beings who are entitled to a good development regardless of the situations in our lives. I think another thing is that I realized whilst being homeless is that people didn't really know that being in temporary accommodation or emergency accommodation is a form of homelessness. I think when people think about homelessness, all they ever think about is rough sleeping, but that's just a part of it. Emergency accommodation, sofa surfacing, all of these are types of homelessness that I feel like as people, we need to kind of help educate our community about it, because there is help, but because people aren't aware that they are actually homeless, they're unable to actually go and seek for those help. So if we can kind of implement some strategies that will really help to educate our communities in relation to the types of homelessness that are there, I feel like it will make it easier to also solve certain situations that go in there. Um, One thing also that I realized that when I was homeless is that, I'll be very honest, but there is a discrimination that goes on against people of ethnic minorities. For example, my mum was someone that had a huge language barrier, migrating from Germany. And I saw it from a very young age, how the local council were very impatient, very insensitive, because of the fact that she just couldn't speak English. And I can understand, because obviously they're working with mass amount of people, but it's very hard already being told to get out of your house and then not being heard. Like, it's so daunting. And for me, I had to stand in for my mum and be that interpreter. She didn't trust anybody, she only trusted me. So imagine me being told that, listen, you're gonna have to move out and sleep and do everything on that bed. You're gonna have to move out and, go to like a homeless shelter that's with strangers. Not only hearing that is hard, but also having to tell my mum that as a child was extremely hard. And I feel like one thing I can appreciate is that during those times, thankfully, I had an amazing MP that was so helpful. He stepped in and helped my mother write letters to the local authorities to kind of help her and her situations. And again, this is something that many people that are in emergency accommodation right now do not know. And I think if we can promote these things a bit more, it would help so much. There are people of ethnic minorities that just honestly need someone to help them in terms of the barrier with language or their written skills. So if we can promote this, that will be a bit more, that will quite be helpful. And also, one thing as well, going back to the hostile environment of homeless shelters, aside from the structural issues, even the environment in terms, for example, myself, I was in a homeless shelter with drug abusers. So I saw from a very young age people abusing drugs right in front of me. And I find that, me thinking about it now, really annoys me, because no child should be exposed to that environment. I feel like there needs to be some policies and regulations that make it impossible for a child to be exposed to those things. If it's okay for me to be placed in emergency accommodation, but I think there needs to be some sensitive element to it. So all I'll ever ask from all of you guys here is that if you can please take into consideration the experiences of myself and people like Kemi, because we've seen it and we know the certain gaps and the certain things that need to be tackled. And if we are trying to end homelessness all for all, we really, really need to take this into consideration. But thank you guys so much. Thank you.